A student's overview of the ageless wisdom was carefully compiled from the following books by Alice A. Bailey. A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. Esoteric Psychology, Volumes 1 and 2. Esoteric Healing. Esoteric Astrology. The Rays and the Initiations. Students are encouraged to download the free PDF version of this overview by following the link in the video's description, or to order a printed copy at cost from thebookpatch.com, but are advised to read the original, unabridged books in order to gain deeper insight into the ageless wisdom. Students are also invited to join our online study group at facebook.com/groups/students of the ageless wisdom. Chapter 24, A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. Systemic Motion. The Turning of the Wheel. We come now to the consideration of another point, and one of very real moment. It emerges out of what we have been saying and cycles and is the basis of all periodic phenomena. One of the most elementary of scientific truths is that the Earth revolves upon its axis, and that it travels around the Sun. One of the truths less recognized, yet withal of equal importance, is that the entire solar system equally revolves upon its axis, but in a cycle so vast as to be beyond the powers of ordinary man to comprehend, and which necessitates mathematical formulae of great intricacy. The orbital path of the solar system in the heavens around its cosmic center is now being sensed, and the general drift also of our constellation is being taken into consideration as a welcome hypothesis. Scientists have not yet admitted into their calculations the fact that our solar system is revolving around a cosmic center along with 6 other constellations of even greater magnitude in the majority of cases than ours, only one being approximately of the same magnitude as our solar system. This cosmic center in turn forms part of a great wheel till, to the eye of the illumined seer, the entire vault of heaven is seen to be in motion. All the constellations, viewing them as a whole, are impelled in one direction. End of page 115. Motion and the mental sheath. The mental body is composed of only 4 types of essence, whereas the astral body and the physical are formed of 7 types. The devas who compose this body are grouped together as the cohorts of the 4th order and have a close connection with that group of cosmic lives who, through the impress of their influence upon solar matter, are responsible for the fact that our solar system is a system of the 4th order. This group of lives is manipulated and controlled, in the macrocosmic sense, from cosmic mental levels via the central spiritual sun, and through what is called in esoteric parlance the 4th solar cavity. Certain influences and forces play upon the mental sheath of any human being, and produce in it that activity which is termed spiral progressive. These forces might be briefly considered as comprising the following: the energies of the atoms of substance which compose the mental body, the energies of the lunar father who is the coherent life of the mental group body. These 2 groups concern the not-self, the 3rd aspect of monadic manifestation. The energies of the solar angel, or father, which is the coordinating principle behind manifestation in the 3 worlds. The energies of the intelligent lives who form the body egoic. These lives find their emanating source on other levels than the systemic. These 2 groups concern the egoic principle, the middle principle which links the above and the below, and is the second aspect of monadic manifestation. The energy emanating from the jewel in the lotus itself, the focal point of energy in the upper triad. This concerns the self, the highest aspect of monadic manifestation. The effects produced by the play of these 5 types of energy upon each other produce, through the medium of the mental unit, that which we term the mental sheath. This sheath is after all only the aggregate of those atoms within a specific area with which the thinker has to do, which he holds magnetically within his ring-pass knot, and which serve as the medium for his mental expression, according to his point of evolution. This same definition will be recognized as true of all atomic sheaths, and one of the things which students of the occult sciences will eventually do is to investigate the nature of the informing lives of the sheaths, the qualities of the energies influencing such lives, and the character and force of the basic underlying principles. We found that the effects of such motion might be regarded as 4 altogether. 1. Separation. 2. Momentum. 3. Frictional activity. 4. Absorption. Separation. This separation is brought about through the initial activity of the ego, who produces the first of those forms which he intends to use during the cycle of incarnation, through the bringing together of these energies through self-engendered impulse. He, for purposes of development, identifies himself with that form, and thus temporarily separates himself off from his own real self. Through the veil of mental matter he first knows separation, and undergoes his first experiences of the 3 worlds. Momentum, the activity of the mental sheath and its gradually increasing rate of vibration, is brought about by the inflow of energies of different kinds. These various factors, as they are brought to bear upon the mental sheath, produce an increased activity and speed in the rotary motion of the individual atoms, and also greater speed in the progress of the entire sheath. This means a more rapid transference of the atoms of low vibration out of the sheath and the substitution of atoms of high quality. Some of the energies which produce increased momentum in the mental sheath might be enumerated, and as the students consider them it will again become apparent what a complicated thing human unfoldment really is. End of page 116. These energies are the direct increasing influence of the solar angel. This influence is felt in 4 stages. As the 3 rows of petals unfold. As the interior jewel rays forth more powerfully. The reflex action from the physical personality, or the thought currents sent through in course of time from the physical brain. The activities of the astral body. The thought currents or energy units initiated by identification with groups, national, family, racial and egoic. The currents which impinge upon the mental bodies of all human beings as different rays pass in and out of incarnation. The forces and energies which become active or latent during different cycles. The interplay between planets, or between systems and constellations, of which an illustration can be seen in the effect of Venusian energy upon our Earth. All these energies have their effects, and serve either to speed, or in some cases, to retard the evolutionary process. Frictional activity, this, as is apparent from the words, deals with the fire by friction aspect of substance, and therefore with the lowest aspect of the energy of the mental sheath. The force of the life within the sheath manifests in the attractive and repulsive action of the individual atoms, And this constant and ceaseless interplay results in the occult heat of the body, and its increased radiation. It is one of the factors also which produces the gradual building in of new atoms of substance, ever of a better and more adequate quality, and the expulsion of that which fails to suffice as a medium for intelligent expression. The mental unit is the synthesis of the four types of force with which we are dealing, and of the four expressions of it which we are in process of considering. 1. Each of the groups of lives which are the living essence of four subplanes and which focalize through one of the spiralae of the unit and thus influence. 2. The sheath itself. 3. The man on the physical plane. 4. Part of the head center. Absorption. This is the faculty which produces the forms of the mental ring pass not, and which, at the close of the cycle, is the active principle behind devachanic manifestation. The student, through a consideration of the macrocosmic process, can arrive at a knowledge of the separation of the mental body and its individual functioning. It is anent the process of heavenly withdrawal that we are speaking. It is in Devacorn that the man shapes and polishes the stones which are built into the Temple of Solomon. It is the workshop to which the individual stones, good deeds and thoughts, are taken for fashioning, after being extracted from the quarry of the personal life. Being of mental matter, Devacorn might be regarded as a center, or heart of peace, within the periphery of the sphere of influence of the mental unit. The law of attraction. This law is, as we know, the basic law of all manifestation, and the paramount law for this solar system. It might strictly be called the law of adjustment or of balance, for it conditions that aspect of electrical phenomena which we call neutral. The law of economy is the basic law of one pole, that of the negative aspect. The law of synthesis is the basic law of the positive pole, but the law of attraction is the law for the fire which is produced by the merging during evolution of the two poles. From the standpoint of the human being, it is that which brings about the realization of self-consciousness. From the point of view of the subhuman beings, it is that which draws all forms of life onto self-realization, whilst in connection with the superhuman aspect it may be stated that this law of life expands into the processes conditioned by the higher law of synthesis, of which the law of attraction is but a subsidiary branch. End of page 117. It should be noted here as a basic proposition in connection with all atoms that the law of attraction governs the soul aspect. The law of economy is the law of the negative electron, the law of synthesis is the law of the positive central life, whilst the law of attraction governs that which is produced by the relation of these two, and is itself controlled by a greater cosmic law which is the principle of the intelligence of substance. It is the law of Akasha. I. The subsidiary laws. The subsidiary aspects, or laws, of the law of attraction might be enumerated as follows. 1. The law of chemical affinity. This law governs the soul aspect in the mineral kingdom. It concerns the marriage of the atoms, and the romance of the elements. It serves to perpetuate the life of the mineral kingdom and to preserve its integrity. It is the cause of the immetalization of the monad. 2. The law of progress. It is called this in the vegetable kingdom owing to the fact that it is in this kingdom that definite objective response to stimulation can be noted. It is the basis of the phenomenon of sensation, which is the key to this solar system of love, our system being a son of necessity or of desire. This law is the working out into manifestation of the informing consciousness of a part of the Deva kingdom, and of certain pranic energies. The student will find much of esoteric interest in the following line of living forces. The second chain, globe and round. The vegetable kingdom. The devas of desire in their second reflected groupings. The heart of the sun. The second ray force. 3. The law of sex. This is the term applied to the force which brings about the physical merging of the two poles in connection with the animal kingdom, and of man, viewing him as responsive to the call of his animal nature. It concerns itself with the due guarding of the form in this particular cycle and its perpetuation. It is only powerful during the period of the duality of the sexes and their separation and, in the case of man, will be offset by a higher expression of the law when man is again androgynous. It is the law of marriage, and finds some aspects of its manifestation not only in marriage of men and animals in the physical sense, but in the occult marriage of the soul and the spirit. The son with his mother, or the soul with the physical substance. The negative planetary lives with the positive ones earlier pointed out. The systemic marriage, or the merging of the two final planetary schemes after their absorption of the other forces. The cosmic marriage, or the merging of our solar system with its opposite cosmic pole, another constellation. The cosmic marriage of stars and systems is the cause of the occasional irregular flaring up or intensification of suns and their increased luminosity which is sometimes seen, and which has frequently been the subject of discussion. 4. The law of magnetism. This is the law which produces the unifying of a personality, and though it is an expression of lunar force, is, nevertheless, of a much higher order than the law of physical sex. It is the expression of the law as it is demonstrated by the three major groups of lunar Treatise. These three groups are not concerned with the building of the forms of the animal kingdom, for they are the builders of the body of man in the final three stages of the path of evolution. 1. The stage of high intellectuality, or of artistic attainment. 2. The stage of discipleship. 3. The stage of treading the path. The lower four groups concern themselves with the earlier stages, and with the animal aspects of attraction in both the kingdoms. End of page 118. 5. The law of radiation. This is one of the most interesting of the laws, for it only comes into activity in connection with the highest specimens of the various kingdoms, and concerns itself with the attraction that a higher kingdom of nature will have for the highest lives of the next lower kingdom. It governs the radioactivity of minerals, the radiations of the vegetable kingdom and, curiously enough, the entire question of perfumes. Smell is the highest of the purely physical senses, so in the vegetable kingdom a certain series of perfumes are evidence of radiation in that kingdom. 6. The law of the lotus. This is the name given to the mysterious influence from the cosmic law of attraction which brought in the divine sons of mind, and thus linked the two poles of spirit and matter, producing upon the plane of mind that which we call the egoic lotus, or the flower of the self. It is the law which enables the lotus to draw from the lower nature, the matter aspect and the water aspect, the moisture and heat necessary for its unfoldment, and to bring down from the levels of the spirit that which is to it what the rays of the sun are to the vegetable kingdom. It governs the process of petal unfoldment, and therefore itself demonstrates as a triple law. 1. The law of solar heat, knowledge petals. 2. The law of solar light, love petals. 3. The law of solar fire, sacrifice petals. 7. The law of color. To get any comprehension of this law, students should remember that color serves a twofold purpose. It acts as a veil for that which lies behind, and is therefore attracted to the central spark. It demonstrates the attractive quality of the central life. All colors, therefore, are centers of attraction, are complementary, or are antipathetic to each other, and students who study along these lines can find out the law, and comprehend its working through a realization of the purpose, the activity, and the relation of colors to or for each other. 8. The law of gravitation. This law is for the non-occult student the most puzzling and confusing of all the laws. It shows itself in one aspect as the power, and the stronger urge that a more vital life may have upon the lesser, such as the power of the spirit of the earth, the planetary entity, not the planetary logos, to hold all physical forms to itself and prevent their scattering. This is due to the heavier vibration, the greater accumulative force, and the aggregated tamasic lives of the body of the planetary entity. This force works upon the negative, or lowest, aspect of all physical forms. The law of gravitation shows itself also in the response of the soul of all things to the greater soul in which the lesser finds itself. This law, therefore, affects the two lowest forms of divine life, but not the highest. 9. The law of planetary affinity. This term is used in the occult teachings specifically in connection with the interaction of the planets with each other and their eventual marriage. As we know, the planetary schemes, the 7 sacred planets, will eventually synthesize, or absorb the life of the planets which are not termed sacred and the numerous planetoids, as far as the 4 kingdoms of nature are concerned. The absorption of the spirit aspect proceeds under the law of synthesis. The minor 4 planetary schemes become first the 2, and then the 1. This 1, with the major 3, forms a second and higher quaternary which again repeats the process, producing from the 4, the 2, and from the 2, the 1. This final 1 is eventually merged in the Sun, producing in this prolonged process, and over a vast period of time, the appearance of the 7 suns who run together, and thus blaze forth, producing one flaming ball of fire. On a lesser scale the same law governs the merging of the chains in a scheme. 10. The law of solar union. When the interplay of the suns is being dealt with from the material aspect and from the consciousness aspect, this term is occultly used. It is not possible to enlarge upon it, but only to point out the universality of this law of attraction. 11. The law of the schools, the law of love and light. This is a mysterious term used to cover the law as it affects the expansions of consciousness which an initiate undergoes, and his ability to attract to himself through knowledge his own higher self, so as to produce alignment and illumination. That which he seeks to know. That which he can utilize in his work of service. Other souls with whom he can work. The law of synthesis as a tendency to concentrate at a center, or to merge. End of page 119. 2. The effects of the law of attraction. the law of attraction produces certain effects which it might profit us to touch upon here, provided we remember that only a few effects out of many possible are being considered. 1. Association. The first effect might be called association. Under this law, the karmic lords are enabled to bring together those lives, human, subhuman, and superhuman, which have earlier been associated, and have, therefore, somewhat to work out. 2. Form building. The second effect is form building. Upon this we will not enlarge at any length, as all that it is at present possible to impart anent this subject has already been given in this treatise, and other works of a similar nature. It is the middle, or second aspect which is ever responsible for the construction of a form around a central nucleus. Types of energies. Source, focal point, medium, type of energy, nature of fire. Solar logos. 1. Causal body. Dual. Central. Spiritual. Sun. Cosmic. Will. Electric. Fire. Positive. 2. Causal body. Lotus. 2. Petaled. Heart. Of the Sun. Cosmic. Love. The Sun. Solar fire. Harmony. Equilibrium. 3. Physical. Plane. Nucleus. Permanent. Atom. The physical. Sun. Cosmic. Activity. Universal. Mind. Fire by friction. Negative. End of page 120. Planetary logos. 1. Planetary. Causal body. Dual. Heavenly. Man, on his own plane. Systemic. Will. Electric. Fire. Positive. 2. Planetary. Causal body. Lotus. Egoic. Groups. Systemic. Love. Solar fire. Harmony. Balance. 3. Physical. Plane. Nucleus. Permanent. Atom. Physical. Planet. Systemic. Activity. Fire by friction. Negative. Man. 1. Human. Causal. Body. Dual. Monad. Spirit. Atmabudhi. Electric. Fire. Positive. Force. 2. Human. Causal. Body. Lotus. Solar. Angel. Manasic. Ego. Solar. Fire. Equilibrizing. Force. 3. Plane. Nucleus. Permanent. Atom. Luna. Angels. Lower. Threefold. Man. Fire by friction. Negative. Planes. 1. Plane. Raja Lord. A Deva. Hierarchy. Atomic. Subplane. Phohatic. Central. Fire. Initiatory. 2. Plane. Devas. Centers. Prana. Solar. Energy. Form. Building. Fire. 3. Elementals. Elemental. Essence. Molecular. Substance. Lunar. Force. The. Mothers. Heat. Atoms. 1. Atom. Nucleus. Plane. Deva. Positive. Electric. 2. Atomic. Unit. Of form. Sphere. Plane. Devas. Balancing. Solar. Fire. 3. Electrons. Nuclei. Elementals. Negative. Fire by friction. 3 Atomic relations. 1. Individual. This concerns the central fire of all atoms and affects the relation of that positive center to all within its sphere of influence. 2. Systemic. This concerns the relation of all atoms to other atoms which come within their range of influence, or their scale of contacts. 3. Universal. This deals with the identification of all atoms with these particular groups, and their consequent submergence in the interests of the greater whole. 7 Laws of group work. These can only be expressed largely through the medium of mystical terms, and it is left to the intuition of the student to apply them to the more material forms of life. Law 1. The law of sacrifice. This involves the immolation and sacrifice of that which has been realized. This is crucifixion, the basic law of all group work, the governing principle which results in each human unit eventually becoming a savior. Law 2. The law of magnetic impulse, the law governing the primary realizations by any atom of its environing contacts, and the going out, or feeling after, by that atom, so that eventually a relation between that which is realized as part of the group and the unit is established. This is not the same thing as making sense contacts, as the relation established is between the self in all, and not between aspects of the not-self. This law is sometimes called the first step towards marriage, for it results in an eventual union between the man or atom and the group, which produces harmonious group relations. Law 3. The law of service. This law, for want of a better name, concerns the identification of an atom with the group interest, and the steady negation of the atom's own material interests. It really deals with the process or method whereby an atom, positive in its own centralized life, gradually becomes responsive and receptive to the positive life of the group. Law 4. The law of repulsion. This law concerns itself with the ability of an atom to throw off, or refuse to contact, any energy deemed inimical to group activity. It is literally a law of service, but only comes consciously into play when the atom has established certain basic discriminations, and guides its activities through a knowledge of the laws of its own being. End of page 121. Law 5. The law of group progress. This is sometimes called the law of elevation, for it concerns the mysteries of group realization, and expansions of consciousness, and the part each unit plays in the general progress of a group. In relation to the human family, for instance, the truth must ever be borne in mind that no human atom arrives at fullness of life without adding much to the general nature of his own group. The elevation of a unit results in the raising of the group. The realization of the unit brings about eventually group recognition. The initiation of the unit leads finally to planetary initiation, and the attainment of the goal by the human atom and his achievement of his objective brings about steadily and ceaselessly group achievement. The same must be applied to the units devoid of a physical vehicle who form a component part of the mental body of the group. These laws only become operative in units on the physical plane which are becoming consciously responsive to those group workers who are discarnate. They are: Law 6, the law of expansive response. Law 7, the law of the lower four. 22 Ray methods of activity. 1. Ray of power. Destruction of forms through group interplay. Stimulation of the self, or egoic principle. Spiritual impulse, or energy. 2. Ray of love wisdom. Construction of forms through group intercourse. Stimulation of desire, the love principle. Soul impulse, or energy. 3. Ray of activity or adaptability. Vitalizing of forms through group work. Stimulation of forms, the etheric or pranic principle. Material impulse, or energy. 4. Ray of harmony, union. Perfecting of forms through group interplay. Stimulation of the solar angels, or the manasic principle. Buddhic energy. 5. Ray of concrete knowledge. Correspondence of forms to type, through group influence. Stimulation of logoic dense physical body, the three worlds. Manasic energy or impulse. 6. Ray of abstract idealism or devotion. Reflection of reality through group work. Stimulation of the man through desire. Desire energy, instinct and aspiration. 7. Ray of ceremonial order. Union of energy and substance through group activity. Stimulation of all etheric forms. Vital energy. These 21 methods and their synthesis sum up very largely all that can be said anent the actions and motions of all deva substance and all forms. Under the law of attraction, the interplay between these ray forces and all atomic forms is brought about, and manifestation becomes a fact in nature, and the great Maya is. End of page 122. End of chapter 24. End of a treatise on cosmic fire.